Sign up to Rough Trade Club, the ultimate subscription for vinyl enthusiasts. Get money off online and in store and access to sold out events and discounts at Rough Trade East, Rough Trade West, Bristol, Liverpool and all over the UK. Join Rough Trade Club plus new music to receive an exclusive variant of their album of the month every month. Head to roughtrade.com/club and when you use the voucher code CLUB101POD, you'll get a third off your first 3 months. That's at roughtrade.com/club and you can get a third off your first 3 months by using the voucher code CLUB101POD. Do you play in bands? I did for the longest time. And I wish that I knew that DistroKid was a thing. I don't even think it existed back then. DistroKid makes music distribution fun and easy with unlimited uploads, and artists keep 100% of your royalties and earnings. 1 million plus artists rely on DistroKid to get their music on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, TikTok, Tidal, Instagram, and all the major streaming services. When you get DistroKid, you can see a DistroKid bank and withdraw your earnings. You get notified when you've earned royalties and you can withdraw via the app. And you can even check your streaming stats on Spotify and Apple. Get 30% off your first year on DistroKid by going to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. 30% off for your first year. That's not bad. We know it's a tough world out there. Why don't you make it easier for yourself? And to get 30% off that free year as an artist, where you get 100% of your royalties and earnings, go to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. All right, stay with me. I'll be right back after this.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Anatomy of an ad.
Subconsciously trigger emotions through music. Perfect.
Define an opportunity.
Imagine talking to millions of people across the U.S. like I am now.
Identify a problem.
Creating an audio ad is time-consuming.
Offer a solution.
Utilize cutting-edge AI. Imagine creating all that in under 30 seconds. Well, we did to create this ad. To learn more about AI in the audio industry, download the white paper from audiostack.ai.
All right, you're listening to 101 Part-Time Jobs with me, Giles Bidder. It's where I speak to musicians and artists about how they survive in a time where being an independent musician is probably the hardest it's ever been. On today's episode, I speak with Pond frontperson Nick Allbrook. Pond have been consistently releasing great records since 2008, 2009. And that's the thing about this band, is that they are consistent. And with this kind of pretty psychedelic, pretty Prince-style pop that the new record Stung is sounding like, it makes for a good party. Go see them on tour. They're touring in the UK coming up this year. They're probably touring a bunch around the world. So follow them on socials, their website, and go listen to this new record Stung, because it's awesome. Put you in a good mood. It'll put you in a good place. Cheers for listening. If you like this episode, if you like this show, make sure you subscribe. We put out 2 episodes every week, always with brilliant, interesting bands and artists. Stuff that I like, stuff that I hope you like. Doing this podcast is kind of like my favorite magazine. It's like I'm the editor of my favorite magazine. And whether it's folk, whether it's hardcore, whether it's pop, if it's good, if it's got depth, then I think it's worth talking about. And these stories are more than just the music, obviously. It's about the people, it's about the lifestyle. So I hope that all makes sense. I love doing this. Thanks for listening to it. Shout out to our sponsors, 2000 Trees, great independent festival down in Cheltenham in the southwest of England. Coming up this July, 10th to the 13th, it's really soon now. The Gaslight Anthem, Don Broco and The Chats are headlining loads of excellent bands from Manchester Orchestra to Creeper to Hot Mulligan. Like this show, it's from folk to hardcore to some pop stuff in there as well. It's such a great festival. I've been so many times and always left with a good feeling. If you want to head to 2000 Trees this year, this July, head to 2000trees.co.uk, and if you use the voucher code 101pod, you can get 50 quid off the price of your weekend ticket. That's all at 2000trees.co.uk. All right, coming up, it's Nick from Pond here on 101 Part-Time Jobs. 101 Part-Time Jobs.
I've always been a morning person. Even when I have late nights, I still just wake up early and it feels horrible. So I don't really have the option of like having a late night and then having a big sleep in. It's just like, if it's late, it's going to be hard.
Do you feel like you get to do stuff? Can you wake up and can you play? Can you pick up a guitar or pick up an instrument? And
in the morning?
Yeah,
of course. Yeah.
Get right to it.
I can. I don't often do it like that, but I think it is really fruitful to do stuff in the morning. I went through a little period of writing lyrics really early in the morning before anyone else was up, and it was so good. And I don't know why I don't do it. Still, I feel sort of bad about that because it was really, really good.
Would you find that you'd write about things that maybe, I don't know, you wouldn't write about later in the day? You know, is there that kind of thing where because you're waking up, you're kind of, you can't concentrate too much, so you're just kind of riding with it a little bit?
Yeah, I really did. I feel like the closer I was to sleep, or the less kind of noise that had built up throughout the day of all the information and thoughts you have throughout the day, that there was some more like kind of big spikes in my memory that would just stick out and be kind of the first thing I'd write about. Like really odd things that were kind of pretty simple kind of day-to-day stuff that's actually like really huge in my memory.
Mm-hmm.
Really weird.
I was thinking the other day, I have all these small memories. Like I just thought about one today, and it was like the first band I started when I was 13 years old. And I remember my friend, and I haven't seen him for 13 years, and I saw him the other weekend at a party, and we caught up, and it was awesome. And kind of since then, I wasn't trying to think about it, but I realized the memory that happened 20 years ago of him being like, that other band at our school, they just play power chords. That sucks. We should do more than just play power chords. And it's such like a cheeky, funny thing that how is it that our brains are able to remember? They can go that far back for something so small, insignificant, an offhand comment that someone said.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I heard that the more you recall memories, the further they actually get from the truth of what would have happened. Mm-hmm. But if you were to suddenly remember something that you hadn't thought about 20 years later, it would actually be quite close to what happened. So mm-hmm. maybe that's what's happened to you, and it's a really like accurate reflection of what your mate said.
It's funny that I guess we try and there's your truth, there's my truth, and there's the real truth. There's a bit in that.
Yeah.
And I think this is this show's called 101 Part-Time Jobs, and yeah, it's probably a bit far out to start talking about memories and waking up in the morning and writing songs, but this is part of the job, innit? It's part of the job of writing songs, of writing lyrics, to be reflective and to try and look at yourself, your true self.
Yeah. I mean, I think, there's nothing else. There's nothing else except people and relationships and your interior world. when it comes down to it, that's all that there is.
And giving yourself time to think about that and let it percolate, let it exist, because everyone's running around so much, trying to do their day-to-day work, walk the dog, do the washing, pick up the kids from school. The lists are just endless. You know, I don't know anyone who's not running around. And I think there's something about songwriting that can take you out of that. And it's not selfish, it's giving yourself time.
Absolutely. Yeah, it does kind of have to be you have to step away from the grind, don't you? Like to make enough breathing space for songs to happen. Yeah, I know what you mean. And it's also such a privilege. It's such a privilege to be able to create that space for yourself if you want to. To be like, I'm gonna, section off a bit of my life and dedicate it to like empty space where like art can happen. Because yeah, you're right. It's very hard to sort of you've got to let it percolate, don't you?
What's your story of that being like as an adult? You know, whether that means choosing music over relationships, other work that pays in a more traditional way than music. What's your story been of prioritizing music?
Well, yeah, I just if I had gotten a trade and been a brickie or worked in the mines or something, I would have I'd be able to buy a house and be a very legitimate, functional member of society and to banks and stuff like that, which would make some parts of my life a fuckload easier. But yeah, I think giving up on that, which I never really thought about until recently, actually, that was any kind of sacrifice or something. But definitely relationships were hard for a long time. I think you do get better at kind of being a bit more efficient in a weird way at making art and balancing that with work and relationships. Like you can't have to.
Will that efficiency be like at the start of a relationship, you've been on a few dates, at some point you got to say, as cheesy as this may sound, music's number one. I care about music more than anything. Writing songs makes me feel happiest.
Yeah, nah, never quite like that. I haven't done that. I sort of mean more you get more efficient at making music or something.
Right, yeah.
I feel like I used to spend so much more time sort of piss farting around with my gadgets and just, I don't know. It's not like anything we made was better or even that much more of it. Maybe there was more bullshit flying around. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like I've got more time now for work and outside music and relationships, but still like music gets made. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're all in different projects. You all played in different bands. Pond have released, basically like a dozen records since 2009. You say you've learned to become efficient, but has it got easier to be a band over that time?
Yeah, I reckon. And when I say efficient, I don't even know. Like it doesn't seem efficient when I think back at it. We still fuck around so much, but like, yeah, it's definitely got easier. I think we get on with each other. I mean, we've always got on super well, but I think we're I don't know, maybe less egotistical and more comfortable with each other and just like getting things done and making it as good as it can be.
I'm interested in those kinds of relationships because that's what ends up on the record. You know, the music's a language, you're talking to each other, that's the record. And I guess when you learn about each other more, you know, there's no HR department in a band. There's no real boss. If there is a boss, then it's always going to be a weird relationship because you choose to be there, but at the same time, there's always going to be a kind of different dynamics of relationship. And especially with a band like Pond, where your records are, you know, they go deep. It's like, you know, you've thought about it, you've had fun, but you've really thought about it in a kind of serious way.
Yeah, it's funny the sort of dynamics that happen in a band, hey? And like you sort of, I guess you do kind of have a boss in a way, but it sort of shifts, and everyone's boss of a different department. It's like a cabinet or something.
What's the job that you've taken within the band that's come naturally?
Minister of words and going like that on stage, I think.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
You're the vibe master.
Something like that. Dancing monkey.
Do you feel like when you're at a party, do you feel that kind of like responsibility to host the party? Because people are there to see you. It's like you're the singer. It's like, do you feel that? I mean, I guess it's a complicated relationship singers have.
Well, with the audience when you're playing.
Yeah, with like a gig, with the event.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think I used to feel a lot more pressured. I think I'm really relishing it at the moment. It seems like a pleasure.
Awesome.
To go out and kind of engage with people and be engaged with.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like human mass kind of human connection based on music is a pretty cool and vanishingly rare thing, I suppose. I guess it's not really. That happens in fucking, I don't know how many thousands of people went to Taylor Swift's thing in Melbourne, but yeah, I guess I take that back. It's massive.
There's something like coming from like indie or like, you know, punk or whatever your kind of backgrounds are, where you start playing music and it's like the least egotistical thing. It's like, I love writing songs, I love recording them, but sometimes, you know, being the person, you know, being the guy or the person with the microphone, I can understand how that, you know, there's, you know, maybe you don't want to be that person that night, but you still are.
Yeah, I think that's when I think that's like that's the trap moment for people drinking a lot, or like taking a lot of blow or something, is like making a kind of finding a shortcut to feeling like you're loose at a party and you're the like funnest person at the party. Yeah, I can see how Elton John sort of like, there's a lot of fun. That's a lot of fun and energy to maintain.
And if you want to be a sustainable band, that's a pretty quick way to implode. Yeah,
you do have to figure out takes time, but you got to figure out a sort of a balance where everything works. And it can be a mysterious balance, but you've got to find it.
101, 101, part-time jobs. 101, 101, 101, part-time jobs.
Mentioned earlier working jobs outside the band and I guess like spreading your attention to stuff that, you know, life's got lots of rewards out there outside of playing music or making art. A lot of stuff, you know, you don't expect that will end up being rewarding. But I think there is something to think like, okay, now, you know, we do have agency. We do have control of our own lives a little bit, and we can use that for the best. So what's your kind of thinking been like that with over the last few years working outside the band, and having kind of a bit more, doing different shit, doing different bits and bobs.
Yeah, well, I think it started in COVID. I started working as a landscape gardener, and I'm still doing it now. And it does sort of it is a lot of time where I would usually be probably mucking around in here with a guitar and sort of making little demos and loops and stuff like that. Or I'd just be smoking cones out the back. Who knows? But like at the same time, I've written songs that I'm more happy with than any other songs while I've been fucking whippersnippering someone's yard. So I can't really, that kind of line of thinking doesn't really match up. And I still love it. I really like doing the job, even though often I wake up, so early and then just feel rooted in the afternoon. Even if I finish at 2:00 or something, I still just come home like, oh, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. Hey, that sounds like a pretty like getting on your hands and knees there. It sort of sounds kind of rewarding after a day of that.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it depends on the job, of course. Yeah. Like sometimes you get really sort of menial tidying jobs and stuff, but sometimes you've got to plant heaps of plants, or sometimes you've got to clear out a like many years overgrown jungle of a backyard, and it's kind of, you're just like hacking shit. That's super fun as well. That hard work, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Found some cool stuff back there? Found some trinkets from someone's previous life?
Nah, we were clearing this place out that the owner's called Jumanji, and like I didn't find any trinkets or cool shit. It was just like old dog toys and like that's Tim Tams wrappers.
And good, you can write. Like when you're writing, are you getting like the melody? Is it the lyric? What kind of how will your brain work there?
Yeah, it's often a melody and a lyric at the same time. Kind of
efficient. That's it. Fucking efficiency.
That's right. That's what we're here for. I often that just like a line and then singing it in a certain way, and then I might try and sort of pad out with other around it if my brain's working.
Yeah.
And I get home and sort of often play the melody, just in a really sort of primary school way, and then sort of look at the chords that line up with those notes in the melody, and then you can sort of build chords around them, whether it's like the root note of the melody or the third or the ninth or whatever. You can sort of place things around that.
Mm-hmm.
So often I do it like that.
Do you know much about the like a proper music note, like the academic side of music notes? Can you read music? Do you know that kind of stuff? Or like the timing signatures?
Sort of. But like I couldn't like read music with any kind of efficiency, like the sort of little baubles on the thing. I couldn't do that. But at the top where it says the chords, probably do that. If it like says, A minor sus 13, I might have to like Google it. But if it says A sus 4,
yeah,
I can do that.
Hey, and what does that mean? A sus 4? You sustain it with the pinky?
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Yeah,
that's one way.
The claw, when you sus the claw.
Yeah.
Your little pinky. I
was like cool, like kind of make up your own names for notes, like a squidgy C for an F.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice.
I feel like you can make yourself laugh, and I think when you can make yourself laugh, you immediately, you start doing things in a different way because you're doing it your own way.
This is the only way. Yeah, it's good.
Did you when you were like a kid coming out of school? What what were the options for you? You know, you mentioned earlier, like you could have got a trade, but you know, it was always kind of music.
Yeah.
What was that sort of 4 or 5 years? Because I think it takes quite a long time to kind of, I mean, you're still a baby when you're 18. Mm-hmm. I think between 16 or 18, whenever you leave school, to mid-20s, you're really young. You're really young. Your brain's not fully there.
For sure. No, your brain is not fully there. I think I was angling towards going into academia in like in the sort of history kind of zone. Mm-hmm. I really liked it. I actually liked it. I was starting to feel like a proper nerd, kind of relishing the going into the library and getting a stack of books. And it was kind of working, and I was like, fuck, I reckon I could do this, actually. It seems good. And then I was doing that while in bands, and it was really fun. And then Tame kind of blew up, and we were off. And I was like, all right, mate. My nice supervisor was like, go for it, get into it. And that was it for uni.
Mm-hmm. Seems like you get those opportunities. I mean, obviously, you everyone's heard that before, but when you get those opportunities, you doubt that they come again, right? So it's like, yeah, fuck it, yeah.
Absolutely. Of course, yeah. Yeah, of course. It's just too, you know, for a guy in, I don't know, it's like a young dude in Perth kind of mucking around with bands in bars and in pubs and shit like that. It's like, oh, let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you get into that life of touring and being away and kind of being in that world? Did you assimilate to it quite quickly, looking back now?
Yeah, I think for the first bit we were just having so much fun and we were just gassed, just absolutely loving it. But then I started feeling just weird and guilty about the whole thing. And like I was real afraid that I wouldn't be able to assimilate back into like normal society because everything was going so crazy. And I think I sent myself a little bit crazy with just being a bit paranoid about that and kind of being like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. Weird thing.
Well, I imagine that must have been a strange mixture of emotions. You feel like you're doing something wrong, but you're also being rewarded every day. You're being celebrated every day.
Yeah, well, I felt like I didn't deserve the celebration. I think that was it. It was like, what am I doing? I'm not doing it. I felt like it was going to turn me into a weirdo, for lack of a better word, you know.
So you cut the cord. You decided it's not totally for you. You wanted to go home and.
Yeah, well, I was probably also being fucking unbearable because I was like, you know, so like anxious and holed up in my own brain. But yeah, essentially that's it. Yeah.
Do you remember coming home and kind of what that felt like and the sort of the year of being home first?
I remember I was working at Hollywood Hospital as a patient services assistant, just sort of like an orderly. Mm-hmm. So I was, you know, pushing people around on wheelchairs and
not much different to being on tour then.
Yeah, exactly. And I lived in a friend's shed, I think. No, wait, where did I live? I lived in North Perth. That's right, on Fitzgerald Street. Yeah, no, it was all right. I don't know. I remember being kind of like feeling a little bit like probably a bit highly strung space cadet.
Yeah, and then get some jobs like that. That's a totally like honest work, isn't it? That is like, okay, you know what, you got a routine. You know when you have your days off, you can kind of set your own routine. I think routine is is really important. People don't really talk about it too much. People I know don't talk about routine too much, but it really affects you.
Oh, it's so magical. Routine is so good. It's so good for you.
Were you writing? Were you starting to write pond stuff back then? Were you getting the itch?
Yeah, I'm sure there was always stuff being written. I think that was probably around when we did like Hobo Rocket or whatever, like Giant Tortoise and stuff. I think. I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember. I feel like I moved to Melbourne pretty soon after, and then we made Man It Feels Like Space again over there. So it's sort of around there. And I started making solo stuff.
Yeah. And pond has been such, like, so many of my mates, so many people are going to these pond shows in London and the UK and having a great time. It's a good party band.
Yeah.
Great Friday night, great Saturday night.
Man, that means a lot to me. That's what I want.
Fuck yeah.
That's the band I want to be. It's my favorite thing to do in the world is go to the pub and watch a rock band and drink a bunch of beers and go home. It's fucking awesome. If I can be a part of that for other people, I'm real happy.
Yeah, excellent. Has it felt like a relief that you found what you are now, what you're doing now?
A relief. Yeah, maybe. It's not so much relief because I don't think there was anything too much to be relieved from. It's been like a slow build, it's more of a long reflective thing. That just feels good that we're at this point. Yeah, it's not so much of a pressure valve coming off or anything. It's just been building.
Yeah, hell yeah. And reading about how Stung was recorded, you'd swim in the daytime, play at night. That's a pretty sweet way to live. So it sounds like a good holiday.
Yeah, fucking oath. It was a sick holiday. Working holiday, I guess you'd call it. But it was pretty. Yeah, couldn't think of much.
Busman's holiday.
Yeah, I couldn't think of anything better to do on a more holiday. Really, it was great.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was down south. And there's this big trail, like this beautiful big walking trail called the Cape to Cape Track that goes along the coast just down from the studio. So I'd go and run along that in the morning, and then we'd all go for a swim and we'd record and then have dinner, drink some wine, keep recording.
Perfect.
It was great.
Yeah, awesome. What are you looking most forward to in the next few months? Releasing this record, is there a particular place that you're looking forward to going to most, or does it feel like it's one big, you're floating on it?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to London. That'll be a ripper. The big English shows will be great. Like, they're always so fun. Paris will be really good. But I think a lot of the in-between bits are kind of the best. Like, they're the big sort of marquee shows where there'll be lots of mates and stuff. But I really love the sort of, we'll probably play in, I don't know, Hamburg, and it'll be like a weirdly really good one or something, Yeah.
There's a great bar in Hamburg opposite called Jolly Rogers that's open all night. I recommend.
Awesome. That sounds familiar. The places where you kind of don't know anyone often end up being so fun because you've just got each other to hang out with. So you kind of it can be really nice.
If you're kind of in and out in employment quite a lot in your life, there's always going to be a few moments of work fuck ups, the work gaff.
Yeah.
The kind of breaking stuff or saying you can do something when you don't know really how to, and hilarity ensues. Have you got any particular memories? Yeah,
I do. When I got this job working at a Indian restaurant called the Cinnamon Club in Subiaco in Perth, This is terrible. My parents will probably hear this, but oh well. It's I earlier in the day we all took LSD, and I thought like, it's pretty early. It only lasts what, 8 hours? And everyone was like, yeah, 8 hours, sure. And I was like, yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so like should be coming straight by about the time I've got my trial for being a waiter at the Cinnamon Club.
It's a trial shift.
Yeah, trial shift, my first time in there. And my friend Gian had got me the job really kindly. And I went in there, and obviously I was still tripping. And it was weird. And I remember carrying a tray of glasses, like empty glasses that I'd collected, taking them back. And then it sort of just started shaking, and I could see them all losing balance. And one fell off, and I tried to catch it with my foot, and I couldn't feel anything, and nothing smashed. And I was looking down, I was like, where the fuck did that glass go? And I spent years being like, where did that glass go? Like, did it just fall through the cracks of the earth or what? And I reckon like a couple of years ago, honestly, I'd been thinking like that this whole time. And someone was like, oh, you were hallucinating because you're on acid. There was no glasses fell. I was like, oh, right, of course. That's a way better, way tidier explanation.
Well, yeah, but you can trip. You could be tripping and you still know what's happening. I mean, in my experience, well,
no glasses smashed.
Well, no glasses smashed.
You know? No, and I got the job.
Yes. Sometimes I'll be sitting down and I'll be on like our living room couch, and I'll see like, it's happened a few times where I see like the glint of something. And I do think like, oh, that was something, you know, or there's a good Reddit thread called like time slip or something. And it is like, sometimes you do see things out the corner of your eyes and you're like, is that real or is that a time slip? You know, is that a matrix slip? And I'm kind of into it.
I'm really, really here for it.
So there was Nick from Pond on 101 Part-Time Jobs. Cheers for listening. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you subscribe to the show. You can also follow on Spotify. And if you're kind enough, and if you've got 30 seconds and really want to, you can leave a review. That all helps us massively. So I hope you feel part of it if you've been listening to the show for a little while, a long while, and maybe it's your first time. Keep on coming back. Loads of great stuff coming up. Just did an interview with Kneecap. They're a brilliant band from West Belfast, putting out a film starring Michael Fassbender, and it's incredible. So that episode with Kneecap's coming up. That's one reason to subscribe to this show. Thank you for listening. One more sponsor message. These sponsors keep us going, so I really hope you don't mind. But DistroKid is a great way to put out your music. If you're a band, if you're in a band, or if you're an artist, DistroKid is one great way to get your records out on Spotify and Apple and Instagram, all the rest of it. You can get 30% off your first year by heading to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod. You earn all your own royalties. I know it's not much these days, but it's trickles in. Maybe if you're a band of 4 people, you can get a 4-pack and get some straws between you, maybe if you're a ska band. Head to distrokid.com/VIP/101pod to get 30% off your first year putting out your own records at DistroKid.
101 Part-Time Jobs is hosted by Giles Bidder and produced by me, Olivia Swash. This has been a Mighty Moon Media production.
Anatomy of an ad.
Subconsciously trigger emotions through music. Perfect.
Define an opportunity.
Imagine talking to millions of people across the US like I am now.
Identify a problem.
Creating an audio ad is time-consuming.
Offer a solution.
Utilize cutting-edge AI. Imagine creating all that in under 30 seconds. Well, we did to create this ad. To learn more about AI in the audio industry, download the white paper from audiostack.ai.
Hey, are you a super fan of Taylor Swift, Jelly Roll, or Morgan Wallen? Are you that song nerd who likes to dive into every little lyric of every little song and figure out what everything means? Do you want to take that a bit further, though? Because I have a podcast called Songwriter Soup, and it dives into the journey of a songwriter and how those people help craft the soundtrack of your life. I'm Laura Veltz, and I'm bringing all of my friends together to discuss our funny little job writing for all of your favorite artists. Listen to Songwriter Soup wherever you get your podcasts.